Whoa, we're back to the Bleach Resonance, and we're going to be taking a look at two posts today. One from the Japanese side of Twitter, sort of forlorn about BSR not being available, and two at a BSR News account post, which just has a big rundown of some thoughts on the upcoming patch, as well as the delay. We're going to take a look at the Japanese Twitter one first, because I think it leads nicely into something Giku was talking about. So let us go over here. Does that work? Yes, it does. And look at that. We can see Bambietta's animations popping off below that. Serve of Kaku TVD, who is, by the way, very reliable as well in the news sector of Bleach Soul Resonance, mostly from the French side, I believe. But yes, very valuable. I always see Kaku's posts lingering around when it comes to BSR. And yeah, let's just get in here. So this Japanese Twitter user says, instead of making weird stuff like Mirror's High and not releasing this in Japan, just get it out here already. Reverie Soul and Mirror's High are totally getting crushed. This has 26,000 views, and the Kaku TVD tweet itself with Bambietta's animations also has about 25 to 26,000 views, right? So two tweets that are relatively engaged with by equal lengths, right? By equal measures. I don't think this is going to be a rare instance either, by the way. I think that as interest builds, as marketing expands, hopefully within the next bit of time, it's as clear as the grass is always greener, right? Everyone was very frustrated recently with the Bambietta delay, the lack of sort of compensation that they wanted, and the, I guess, lack of communication in general, right? And people who can't even have access to this game are looking at it like, why don't we have this thing, right? Like, it's sort of what I talk about all the time, which is there are problems that Nuverse is having, but don't take for granted that BSR could possibly be the most faithful and interesting adaptation that Bleach has really gotten on the, in the game sector, which is very, it's cool, but it's also sad because obviously it is a mobile game. It is a gacha game specifically. So it comes with its own host of problems. But given that it's so free to play friendly, given that it's so easy to acquire these characters and easy to acquire the currency itself too, it does sort of shine a light again on the people who don't have access to this game, the people who pointedly don't have access to this game, probably because of Shueisha wanting to protect Mirror's High in the long term. So as we go over here, we have Bleach game news. I did go through a few Japanese Twitters just looking at the reception to Bleach Soul Resonance, by the way, just to have like one more side. And the reception does seem like very positive. Like, it seems like universally positive when it comes to like the desire to have the game, having to use VPNs to get into the game, just participating in the game in some way. So like I said, Bleach game news, honest thoughts on the leaks on Bambietta. We'll give our own as we sort of read over these, and then possibly go in game and talk about like one or two other things. I mean, there's a little bit of a roundup of news things. Maybe we'll go in, and before this video ends, we'll talk about Mayuri's rotation changes, just because, I mean, we could make it its own video, but we'll just like consider this a big news video. How about that? She looks absolutely insane. Top 3 unit gameplay animations in BSR. Shows to me it was more IP issues since Bambietta is more than complete. She looks on par with Okieta quality-wise, just less overall cutscenes. I would agree. This is a gorgeous character. I mean, I said it like prior to seeing the animations in my actual like reveal video, but I am not like a, oh my god, I love Bambietta so much person. The Bambis are fine. Again, Tite Kubo is just good at making compelling designs, cool designs. He's a very rule of cools mangaka. He will make designs that you go, that character's cool looking. It might not be one of those things where you see a design where you're like, I've never seen that before, but you will go, that character's objectively cool looking. And I think that a lot of the Bambis, a lot like someone like Bambietta, the Sternritters in general, they do just look cool. So I'm never like, oh, I'm so mad that they're putting the Bambis in the game. I think they look cool. She does cool things. The animations look great. They have some flair of Toshido, but I would actually say that these feel like smoother, more visually complete Toshido animations. The fluidity of movement, the actual particle effects just look so great. The energy, the particles themselves have this squishiness to them that reminds me a lot of Dragon Ball. I've talked about this before. One of my favorite things in Dragon Ball is that energy blast and the like, especially in the old ones. They started doing this less in Super, not to shit on Super or anything, because, you know, I know how people get with like Super versus, you know, Z, quote unquote, Dragon Ball. But I really like that in Dragon Ball, the blasts are stylized, that they sort of have this like malleability, this squishiness, like gum to them. They sort of like, they coalesce against each other and like impact each other and then pop. Super cool. So I would say, yeah, these animations are a little too tight for this to be like, oh my god, they had nothing ready. And then suddenly they come out with this video. It's like, okay, so people who were especially mad in the Discord talking about they weren't even half complete are completely wrong. They were more than done, which makes me think, and I know people hate to hear this, because they wanted to essentially be 100% on Shueisha or 100% on Nuverse. And the reality when it comes to dealing with IP is it's not really that ever. If you're being reasonable, I know no one wants to hear me have the IP talk again and again and again, but if you're being reasonable and you're dealing with IP law, the onus is not essentially ever going to be 100% on the devs or 100% on the IP shareholders. There's going to be things that sort of need to fundamentally click for this to work. Marvel Tokon just released, and I was playing that all of yesterday, and someone, my partner, said, hey, how are they going to handle like patching the game if it's like a Marvel game? And it's like, Marvel only cares that you put the characters in that they want. Marvel Tokon is an ad for the MCU for Marvel properties. It can be a very good game, and I think it is going to end up being a very good game overall. You know, we don't know enough about it. It has been extremely fun day one, but they don't care if it's a good game. They care that it's marketing. And in the same way, people like to think that, well, Japan just has this, like, idyllic view of being capitalist. They have this idyllic world where they don't do ads, they just do passion. Are you insane? Look at any of the major cities, and it's billboards, electric billboards, light everywhere, ads. And I'm not saying they're any more sinful than us. I'm just saying that you go to Times Square in New York and it's the same thing. It is a culture that has been defined by its commercial value, right? So to think that like Shueisha cares so much that, you know, there's AI in the ads or to protect the sanctity of Bleach, they don't at all. They don't at all. There are people who work with Bleach who probably feel very passionately about it, but the people who own those companies don't give a fuck. They only see bottom line. And the bottom line is, there is a competitor upcoming called Mirror's High that, despite them loaning out this IP to this, you know, what they would consider a foreign developer, or is objectively a foreign developer, they want to do very well. And so when I look back at this, much like Giku, when I look back at this and I see, oh, Bambietta is, again, we're going to go over here. Bambietta looks pretty complete. There's a lot more coming. Maybe the patch was also delayed because of the contents not being ready, because Bambietta took a bit more time. But when it feels like the character's being delayed and they could have released the character and then filled in the blanks of content in the second week, it does start to draw the question, how much of it, because this was like a day and a half later. You don't accomplish this in a day and a half. It's just not realistic, right? These characters, these models look a little too good for all that. It's like saying, well, you know, there was a Dragon Ball Legends delay, but they got Legends Vegito out right after a day and a half. It's like, no, they didn't. They didn't cook up Legends Vegito in a day. That's not how modeling works. These are intensive things that need to be done. So The new typing is exciting, but Bambi Ada being a DPS is odd. I dislike using Kisuke and Aizen. My hope is that Bambi was tactic. Then we got SR plus support Giselle. Then 3 weeks we got DPS Yuryu, and then finesse team would be complete. I'll wait to see what they do though. Let me make sure my capture works. It does seem to be working, at least for now. Okay. The typing is the worst part of this by far. We have to end up using Aizen once more, our Aizen labor, and Yudahara. The best outcome would be at least still getting a support, but at this point we don't know how reasonable that is. That said, I have seen people start to switch to this idea that maybe let's say that Bambi is Yuryu here, and the team ends up looking something like this. I have seen the idea that people think Yuryu, again, this is a stand-in for Bambi, Yuryu is going to come out and probably be like Slat or Thrust now. I don't think so. I think we will just get 3 new type characters, and then we'll move on to strike support / support. And by the time all of those come out, we'll essentially be at anniversary. I mean, it's August right now. We can go back and look. It's August right now. Oh, it doesn't say the days anymore. Well, it's August right now. We could see Bambi in the next few days. 3 weeks after that, it would be, let's say, the 17th, the 23rd, the 24th, the 31st, and then, you know, September suddenly. And then 3 weeks after that, it'd be the 21st again. And then 3 weeks after that, you know what I'm saying? So on and on and on. So by the time anniversary comes out, like, we don't really have that much time left to like fit in characters. So this idea that like they're going to get in all this stuff and then, you know, possibly, you know, leave us with a team that looks like this, I don't think so. I think we're going to move right into anniversary, and I think that's where Aizen will be replaced finally. The reality of Aizen is that Vastalord Ichigo is either going to be a strike DPS probably, or a slash DPS, so like this. I think after that, the character most on the chopping block will end up being Aizen, and we'll see something like Coyote Stark. We could see something like Yukitake, Shunsui. We could see something like Yamamoto. We could see any manner of things for anniversary that are essentially pretty crazy. Yama and Shunsui could easily be Spirit. Yama's whole thing, I mean, Yama could have like 3 different typings. He could have Thrust, he could have Slash, he could have Strike, and he could have Spirit. They could make one of each throughout the lifespan of BSR easily. Yeah, there are just a lot of characters I think are anniversary quality and could release at that time. I do think it's going to be something like Vastalord, and then Harabel or Stark as the tactics character, and then they're probably not going to double up on typing, so it'll probably be like, I don't know, a slash DPS or a strike DPS who is, you know, fits that you know, lens. But yeah, I just don't have it in me to believe that they're not going to be replacing Aizen and Kisuke over the course of the celebration into 2 more supports into anniversary. So Mystic Frontline is returning. The Nella skin looks amazing. This is true. I saw people being like, people should have pulled Nellel. I still really don't think so. A skin doesn't make a character worth pulling. The character still sucks to play with Ichigo. They can do as much damage as you want, but ultimately, if you get a Nellel for free, then cool, you got a skin. If you have to pull Nellel with possibly 14,000 Jade or something like that, then why the hell would you want to do that, skin or not? It's just not reasonable. I mean, you want to see a, I don't know, all of that just to be like, oh, big chest character. What are you talking about? Like, it is funny that it's like, what? Oh, I'm sure people are regretting it now. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it matters that much, actually. It's cool. It's cool that she's getting the skin, but I think just using Kaname with Tsushikai Ichigo is way more cost efficient, and when you're able to replace Nell during the first anniversary, and you saved up all your Jade, and you've got extra to mess around with, and you could pull Thrust, you know, damage. What would it be? Like, let's say Thrust damage Yamamoto, ailment damage Yamamoto. Oh, it's gonna be peak, dude. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I really don't see it at all. It's cool that she's getting it though. Yeah, Nell's cool. Also nice that Yuryu and Candace were soft confirmed through loading screen, just ready to get them. The good news is Bambietta will be out for 2 months, so you can wait to summon. Yeah, that's the other big thing is ultimately, if Bambi isn't to your liking, if the new typing stuff isn't to your liking, you could literally save, and at the very end of the celebration, you could pull for all 3 characters. They'll be out, it seems, at least, for the remainder of the celebration, right? So I think that it's a good way to be. Yeah, so if you're one of those people who maybe you're not totally convinced of this new stuff, hey, maybe once the team comes together, you'll change your mind. You'll be like, oh my god, that looks so fun. I want to play with Bambi and Yuryu and Candace, right? So, yeah. That's going to do it, I think. Those are the talking points. Oh, Mayuri. Let's do Mayuri really quickly. I'll just do it off screen, and we'll check his damage and see how he does. So here's a quick snapshot. This was done on a 60-second, by the way, not a 2-minute. So nearly 300 million damage done, 5 million DPS, essentially. So what I've heard is that Mayuri essentially got nerfed for, quote unquote nerfed technically, for thrust. But this feels about right. The one change I've made, and maybe this could be that my rotations have just gotten better. Let me just demonstrate one change I made. Just, so let's reset. This is the one change I made. Maybe my rotations are doing a little bit better because I've made this change. So here's my Mayuri. He comes out. He does his attack. Okay. I go into Ichigo. I do, the same old, right? I do this right here. And then I go into Nellel. And again, if you do not have B1 Nellel, this is why you do not pull for this character. It doesn't matter if she's getting a skin. This is what you do with B1 Nellel now. So I go into this, instead of doing the counter, with ult charge, third piece, we immediately get this, right? And that's all she does. Sorry, I don't know why. I don't know why I'm getting some lag spikes with my thing right now, but... Oh yeah, it's super weird. I gotta fix that. But that is essentially like the rotation, right? So now we're foregoing Nellel's counter entirely, and we're just rotating her in off of technique and her special attack. And so, yeah, as far as the total damage goes, though, it could just be a thing of tightening up, because 5 million feels about right. I mean, if I did that for 2 minutes, sky's the limit, right? But again, my Nellel is B2. So remember that. I seems fine if you're free to play. It's kind of negligible, but if you're someone who's like top end really trying to care about your leaderboard, I guess maybe it is worse. Let me do one with Strike and then we'll sort of call it 2.3, I guess. Like, again, kind of negligible. I can squint my eyes as much as I want, but I don't really notice much of a difference. So again, maybe for the people who invested into boundaries, it's more prominent. I assume any sort of top end performance stuff is usually weighted towards whales because they would be the ones talking about top end performance. But for us free to plays, grab a B0 Mayuri. Seems fine. I don't know. I'm not the numbers guy. You got to go to someone else with a numbers guy. Maybe there's someone who can do a deep dissect with the most optimal rotations ever. But until then, I've been Lone. Like if you like the video, subscribe to Cubby, go make it, and peace.